I feel like we tap that more than, yeah. I'm assuming, is that Olivia online?
Yes. Good
Hi,
morning.
how are you?
Good, and you?
Happy Monday, happy March.
Yeah.
How did we get here already? Is it really? All right. I think I'm gonna take Lou's cue here. Our new student. Welcome. Yay. I think a couple other new faces. No, everybody else looks familiar. Anybody else new? Hi.
You know me.
I know you. Let's all come onto our backs actually and start in a what we call a mini Shavasana. So not quite the same as when we do Shavasana at the end of our practice. We're going to make this a little bit more engaged and follow my alignment cues here. So you're stretching the legs out, and I want you to flex your feet for a moment and actively push through your heels. And now bring the arms, if they're overhead, bring the arms alongside your body and turn your palms to face up. And then move them away from your body just a little bit. So you feel like it's about 20 degrees. And now lift your hips just a little bit and try and tuck your tailbone under. So you're lengthening the tailbone under to help that low back area settle. And then notice the position of your gaze and your nose. You want your chin to not be higher than your brow. So that might mean drawing your chin toward your chest a little bit, but not where you're creating any strain for the back of the neck. You just want it to be in a neutral state. And then last adjustment, press into the backs of your arms and lift your chest up a little bit, and then glide your shoulder blades under. And if you need to lengthen the low back again, if you felt that pop up, and start to now, with all those adjustments, now start to release any gripping. Release any part of the body where you feel like you're holding it up. And notice that you have support underneath you, known as the earth. So I love this time of year, even though, we don't see the seasons change quite as much as if we were in other parts of the country, the world. We can sense it. We know it's happening. The soil in other parts of the world getting fertile, unfreezing, welcoming the birth of new foliage. We can see here some of the new growth on trees or different flowers blooming. So just this time of year of renewal. Notice if the tongue is glued to the top of your mouth and see if you can soften that. And just really feel, sense. And when we sense, it brings us into the present moment. Welcome yourself here on your mat and really sense the whole back side of the body in connection with the earth. And just expressing maybe a little gratitude toward the earth responsible for holding us up every day, right? We're not floating around being pulled down to the earth so that we don't follow. Bring awareness now to your breath. And now bring your hands to your belly and spread the fingers, really feel your breath now underneath your hands. So our other life partner is the air we breathe, so the earth and the air we breathe. Again, we wouldn't be here without either. So really bring awareness and sense your own breathing right now, and notice how the body feels as you inhale and exhale. And try and inhale and exhale through the nose. Start to lengthen your inhales, lengthen your exhales. Really feel how the rib cage is filling up. One more of this type of breath where you're lengthening the inhale, lengthening the exhale. And then on your next inhale, float the arms overhead and point your toes. And then on your exhale, bring the arms alongside the body and turn the toes to face the ceiling. Actively push through your heels. Inhale, arms overhead. Pointing the toes, and on your exhale, bringing the arms alongside and flexing the feet, pushing through the heels so you feel that stretch in the backs of the legs. One more time. Inhale, floating the arms overhead and pointing the toes. And then exhale, arms alongside, drawing the toes back towards you and pushing through the heels. And then slide your feet in toward your sits bones, and then hug your knees into your chest. And just rock here from side to side a couple times, just massaging out the back. And then on your next time, rolling to the right. Roll like a log to the right side of your body. Extend your right arm just straight out from the shoulder, not overhead, but just straight out, so that you can rest your head, the side of your head, on that arm. And your left hand is in close by the chest. And just take a couple of deep breaths here. Inhale and exhale. One more time. Inhale and exhale. And then start to rock toward the floor. So your chest is facing the floor. You're pressing into the left hand. Then lift the right arm, press into the right hand to lift yourself up, and then rock forward. So that it's a very gentle way on our spine to lift up instead of torquing the spine. And then come to crossing your legs and try and bring your feet out underneath your knees. So crisscross applesauce, remember those days? Rock forward a little bit and move the flesh away from your sits bones. So you're widening the seat a little bit. So the idea here is to find a long spine. We don't want to be rounded in the spine. We want to sit up nice and tall and start to decompress the spine. Chin parallel with the earth. And then bring your hands together in front of your heart center and actively press the hands together. And lift the sternum, this bony part of your chest. Try and lift it up as you're pressing the hands together. And if you felt a little arch form in your back, like mine, lengthen down through your tailbone, driving those sits bones into the earth. And then close the eyes and take a few breaths here, feeling all that engagement. So the belly drawing in, your sits bones driving down toward the earth. You feel the chest opening and lifting with this pressing of the palms into each other, elbows out to the sides. Bring your thumbs, your knuckles, the thumb knuckles to that sternum. And then with your eyes closed, set an intention for your practice and silently repeat it to yourself. So an intention is not necessarily a goal. It's more something that you'd like to work on. If there's anything going on for yourself this month, a virtue maybe that you'd like to enhance, build, nurture, just like the seeds are starting to come up through the earth, something that you want to pay special attention to, you can nurture and grow this month. Use that to help guide you in your practice today. It can be as simple as the breath. We're going to work on breathing today a little bit with some pranayama. Breathing helps oxygenate our muscles, our bones. One more breath in and out. And let's Om together. So Oming is a beautiful way, an expression of love, gratitude, compassion. Om is actually it's spelled phonetically A-U-M. And it's pronounced Ah like in father, Oo like in room. And then we bring our lips together for and then there's a silent part at the end for us to take a moment to just feel the sensations of chanting. So take a full inhale through the nose and then ha it out through the mouth. We'll Om on the next exhale. Beautiful, everyone. Flickering the eyes open. Just notice for a moment if you lost any part of your posture. If there started to become this rounding forward of the shoulders, and just those cues to lift through the sternum, lengthen down through the low back, drawing the belly in. So coming into a pranayama technique, a breathing technique called alternate nostril breathing. I love this one as we come into spring. I don't know about you, but the pollen's been a little much this season. And it just helps to clear out the nasal passages, but also to balance the right and left sides of our brain, which is always helpful, right? So not only do we want physical balance in our yoga practice, but we want a little mindfulness balance as well. So let's switch now to a pose called Virasana, or hero's pose. Come up on your knees and take both of your blocks. And if this is too much for anybody's knees, you can stay with crossed legs. So up on your knees, tops of the feet on the mat, bring one block down so that the short ends are on the inside of your ankles. So if you can't see what I'm doing up here, it looks like this, in between the ankle bones. And try that. You might do just fine with one block. If that's a lot for the knees, then stack a second block on top of the other one. And you want to make sure that your sits bones are secure on the blocks, not on the front edge or the back, so that when you're sitting, and maybe move the flesh away from the sits bones, that you find that tall spine here. You feel the sits bones driving down into the blocks. And the knees can be a little bit apart, tops of the feet on the mat. Draw the belly in here, lengthen down through the low back. But you feel okay in this position? Yeah. Knees. Okay, so then your option, try one more. Is that better for the knees? And you said the ankles. So you might do better than crossing the legs, coming back to the easy seat, but sitting on a block. So just switch to crossing the legs in front of you instead of hero's pose. And I want you to sit on this block. Yeah, there you go. Beautiful. You're welcome. So alternate nostril breathing is where we inhale through one nostril, then we hold it at the top, and we exhale through the other nostril. And then we're going to take the inhale through the nostril that we just exhaled through. Again, holding it at the top, and then exhale through the left nostril. So it makes kind of this circle. Inhale left, exhale right. Inhale right, exhale left. And we do it by closing one nostril at a time with our fingers. So your right hand, thumb, index finger. Thumb is going to close the right nostril and take an inhale through the left. And now switch, ring finger closes left nostril, open the right, push the breath out of the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Switch, close the right nostril with your thumb, open the left, and exhale left. Make sense? Yeah. Left hand, flip the palm up. Bring your index finger just under the tip of your thumb and extend the third, fourth, fifth fingers. And this mudra is just a mudra really of so whenever we make a mudra, it's a gesture, the energy flowing from our heart out through the arm and out through the fingertips. So as we get into a rhythm of this pranayama, it almost becomes, it's a meditation. So the energy then, it's flowing through the body. You want there to be an exit and an inhale. And this particular mudra represents purity. That's what it is. And it's just sort of this, it's a cleansing, if you will. So try and keep your spine tall. Try not to collapse in your posture. Keep that engagement, drawing the belly in, lengthening down the low back, and then bringing the right hand back up. Your second and third fingers can either rest against the third eye, which is right in between your eyebrow, source of intuition. So that might feel nice as a way to just tap that. Or you can close the second and third fingers to your palm. And then again, we're going to alternate using our thumb and our ring finger. So take a full breath in, empty the breath out. And then press the thumb against the right nostril. Inhale left. Now hold the breath at the top. Ring finger closes left nostril. Release the thumb. And now exhale through the right nostril. Keep the left side closed and inhale through the right nostril. Hold at the top. Close the right nostril, open the left, and exhale left. Adding a count now. Inhale left, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale right, 2, 3, 4. Inhale right, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale left, 2, 3, 4. Inhale left, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale right, 2, 3, 4. Inhale right, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale left, 2, 3, 4. Inhale left, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale right, 2, 3, 4. Inhale right, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale left, 2, 3, 4. Inhale left, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale right, 2, 3, 4. Inhale right, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale left, 2, 3, 4. Try one round on your own. As you move through this round, notice if you've lost any part of the posture, lengthening down through the low back, drawing the belly in, sternum lifting, and finish with the exhale out through the left nostril. And then once you've finished, drop the right back of the hand on your thigh, taking the same mudra as the other hand. And just with your eyes remaining closed or looking down, take a few moments just to observe. And observe without any judgment. There's no right or wrong. You're just feeling any sensations. Did anything shift? So whenever we do a breathing technique, the idea behind it is to help the whirlings of the mind settle, to help our nervous system move into just a calmer state. So many teachings apply to our mat and off our mat. So thinking about how you feel right now, if you do sense any bit of calmness, any bit of shift in your nervous system, think how nice it would be to walk through your whole day like this. It can be done. Flicker the eyes open. And then let's rock forward. Beautiful, everyone. Wouldn't it be nice to try that every day at home for 5 minutes, huh? So find tabletop pose, hands and knees. And this foundational pose, we're bringing our knees under our hips. We're stacking our shoulders, elbows, and wrists. Tops of the feet on the mat. For a little extra engagement here, press the tops of the feet into the mat. Yeah, if anybody needs a tissue from alternate nostril breathing, they are in the back on top of that. It does happen. All right, draw the belly in, neutralizing the spine. Don't feel like your chest is collapsing down, but kind of hollowing it out. And then with this engagement, start to tilt your tailbone up. So a rocking of the pelvic, where you feel the tailbone lifting, and then a natural lengthening of your spine. Your gaze lifts to look up in front of the mat, and you feel a broadening across the chest, and heart stays collarbone. And then on your next exhale, start to rock the pelvic the other way. You're tucking the tailbone, causing the back to round, the spine to round, and the gaze, take it to look at your navel. Push the earth away from you, opening across the upper back. So now we move with the breath. Start the inhale, rock the pelvic where the tailbone tilts up toward the sky. Feel the lengthening of your spine and opening across the chest. There's no movement in the arms or the shoulders. So really bring awareness to the pelvic, your whole pelvis, and feel the pelvis doing the movement. And just breathe through this. Inhale. Feel your fingers are spread into your thumbs, your index finger, and the tips of your third, fourth, fifth fingers. And just really massaging the spine here. Feel the sensations that as you rock the pelvis. And rocking it the other direction to get that rounding. One more inhale. And exhale into cat. And then with cat pose, start to push. Keep the roundedness and push back. So your seat is going to your heels. Your arms are stretched out long in front. And maybe the belly's dropping down toward the thighs, coming into child's pose, but with the arms reaching out in front. So try and straighten the elbows here. And now lift the wrists up so you come up on your fingertips. There you go. Yeah. So push the fingertips into the mat like you're grabbing the mat with your fingertips. The arms are straight. And now actively pull your fingertips back towards you. And you should feel a nice opening. So you're not actually drawing them back. You're pushing the fingertips into the mat and then energetically pulling back. So you feel an opening across the upper back. Pull back. Mm-hmm. One more breath in and out. And then release and start to round up to sitting on your heels and then lift up on your knees. Take the arms around overhead, palms touch, hands down to heart center. Inhale, the arms sweep them around overhead. Then come to tabletop. Inhale into cow pose. Exhale into cat. Push back to child's pose. On your next inhale, sit up on your knees and sweep the arms overhead. So a little mini vinyasa here. Hands to heart center. Inhale, circle the arms around. Then exhale into tabletop. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. Pushing seat to heels. On your exhale, next inhale sweeps you up onto your knees, arms overhead, hands to heart center. Adding on now, we're going to lower to our bellies. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, tabletop. Bend at the elbows, lean forward, and then lower down to the belly. Hands underneath the knees. Tops of the feet pressing into the mat. Lengthen down through your low back and inhale, lift the chest, baby cobra. And exhale, lower down. Next inhale, press back to tabletop and inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. Pressing seat to heels. Next inhale, float yourself up. Hands to heart center. One more time. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, tabletop, lower down, all in that exhale. Hands underneath shoulders, hug those the elbows into the side body. Press into the tops of your feet. Inhale, lift the chest, baby cobra. Exhale, lower down and push up into tabletop. Inhaling into cow. And exhale into cat. Keep that rounded spine as you sink your hips to your heels. Sorry, your sits bones to your heels. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. One more time. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale to tabletop. Squeeze the elbows into the side body as you lower down. Next, inhale into baby cobra. Exhale, lower down and push to tabletop. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. And then find neutral. Tuck your toes under and spread your toes. So all 10 toes are in contact with the mat. And then lift your knees and shins an inch off the mat. You can look at your knees, holding here. So really engage in the belly. Beautiful. Arms are straight, strong across the upper back. One more breath in. And then exhale, lower down. Lean the body forward, leaning tabletop. Hug those elbows in and lower all the way down to your belly. Coming into cobra, maybe lifting a little higher this time, but proper alignment. Hold on, don't lift yet. Make sure your hands are underneath your shoulders. Hug those elbows in. Tops of the feet pressing into the mat and lengthen down through the low back. And then inhale, lifting into cobra. And then exhale, lower down. One more time. Inhale into cobra. And exhale, lower down. Tuck your toes under. Push up to tabletop. Lift your knees and shins, adding on, press back. So arms are in full extension. You're in sort of this child's pose squat. So push all the way back. Like that. That's okay. And drop your knees, yeah. And now lift your sits bones, straightening the legs slowly to come into downward facing dog. So you shouldn't have to shorten your stance at all. You should be able to push back to that squat and be in the position then for downward facing dog. So if you're shortening your stance to find downward dog, I want you to come back to creating more space. You want about 3 feet in between hands and feet. And instead, I want you to bend your knees in downward dog. So everybody lower their knees and then come just to stand on your knees for a moment and look up here. So I see some of you, when you come into downward dog, you want to shorten it so that you're more like a very, very short V. We want to be in an upside down V like that. If the hamstrings and the hip flexors are really tight and you're finding it to be a challenge to be in this wide V, bend your knees, lift your heels. The most important part of downward dog is spinal extension and working the hips, hip rotation. So if we're shortening the stance to be able to be in downward dog, we're not getting any benefit from the pose. We're not in spinal extension at all. So the idea when I bring you into lifting the knees
and pushing back. Look at my spine and my arms. And then when I lift up, that extension stays. As soon as, if I start to shorten, see how different it looks? So that spinal extension is really important. If you get here, lifting the sits bones, and the knees are bent like that, but you've got that spinal extension, make that your downward dog. If the wrists are hurting at all, if there's any injury that you're dealing with, use the blocks under the hands, and that will take weight off of the wrists. All make sense? Yeah. So let's find, so if you're dealing with wrists, bring the blocks under the hands for tabletop. So you're starting with your hands on the blocks. You tuck the toes under, lift the knees and shins, push back, then straighten the legs. There's no rule that says we have to drop our heels to the mat. Push back. Better. And drop the head between the arms. Yeah. Breathe in. Beautiful, everyone. Beautiful adjustments. And try not to get lazy here. So you want all parts of the body engaged here, like the belly drawing in. Pull your navel in toward your spine. Everybody bend your knees a little bit. And think about your sits bones, those two bony parts in the low back. And I want you to widen the space between the sits bones. And now straighten the legs. Nice, Mary. It's a totally different feeling then. Take a rest, drop knees down to the mat and widen your knees to the edges of your mat. And bring your toes together. Sit back, bring your seat to your heels, and then melt your heart down to the floor. 5 breaths here to feel the breath in your rib cage, expanding the rib cage in all directions. So yoga is not about doing the headstand or the handstand. Yoga's, yeah, I mean, we all say we want to be more flexible, but how about just working on the flexibility of the mind? The mind becomes more flexible, the body will follow. Just like your head, when we lift our head in poses, we instantly trigger the thinking response versus the sensing response. So take the time to sense what's going on in the body. In downward dog, the head just is in a neutral state in between the arms. So there's no tension in the neck. One more breath in and out. And then slowly lift yourself back up to tabletop, bringing the knees back under the hips. Coming into downward dog one more time. So tuck your toes under, lift the knees and shins off the mat, and then push back. Straightening the legs so the sits bones are lifting up to the sky. Take a moment to sense where your head is. If you can release tension from the neck, your gaze is looking at your knees. One more breath here, in and out, and then now mindfully lift your head so your gaze is in between your thumbs and walk one footprint at a time up to the front of your mat. And on an inhale, lift up halfway so your fingertips are coming to your shins or your knees. Draw the shoulders away from the ears, draw the belly in, and then float the arms out to the sides. So not flying them like Superman arms, but reaching out from the shoulders. Feel the shoulders kind of circling, feeling that rotation in the shoulders. Breathe in. Feel that engagement in the belly. Lengthen out through the fingertips. And then bend your knees, just soften them a little bit and lift the upper body to stand. So we're lifting with a flat back. And then straighten the legs, arms float overhead, bring those palms to touch and draw your hands to your heart center, finding mountain pose, Tadasana. So sense how the feet are in connection with the earth. And look down if your toes naturally turn out. Draw them in a little bit so the outside edges of your feet are parallel with each other. And then allow the weight of your body to move toward your heels, where your toes feel like they can flutter. Almost feeling like you're falling backwards a little bit, but then catch yourself and root down through your feet. Straighten your legs, kneecaps lift up, thighs engage, lengthen down through the low back. Draw the belly in, lift the chest, the sternum. With all that engagement, inhale the arms overhead and exhale, take the arms out wide. Start to hinge forward, leading with the heart, coming into our forward fold. So if you get about halfway and that's your edge, that's where you're going to be. Maybe grab your blocks at the highest height and place them under your hands, under your shoulders, and breathe into the hamstrings, the hip flexors. If you feel like you can go a little deeper, folding in half, then blocks can move to the middle height or the lowest, or maybe fingertips to the earth. So we always use the expression that if we're not naturally reaching the earth, then bring the earth to you. So you want to try and not bend the knees here. So that's why it's important to use the blocks if you're not able to reach down yet. And I say yet because you'll get there. One more breath in and out, lift up halfway. So we're going to practice chair pose here. We're going to bring our hands to our hips, and with that flat back now, I want you to start bending the knees, sitting back like you're sitting in a chair, lengthen down through the low back, draw the belly in. Really feel the weight in your heels. Try and sit back a little deeper in the chair. Lengthen down through the low back. So lift the chest, Marilyn, lift the chest up. So by lifting the chest up, if that creates arching in your back, lengthen down through the low back. Try bringing your hands to heart center. Really feel the weight in your heels. Do you feel like your spine is long here? So instead of leaning forward, try and lift the chest. You bring the feet a little closer together. Beautiful. So the feet are hip distance apart. Beautiful. Breathe one more time. Say thighs. You can do it. You can do it. And then dive forward. And sigh out the breath. Beautiful, everyone. Chair pose is tough. It asks a lot of the body. So using the breath and breathing through discomfort. So we're going to do it one more time. Lift up halfway, hands to hips. So find that neutral spot for your spine. Find that flat back. You're lengthening down through the low back a little bit. Weight starts to go into your heels, so lift your toes. And now bend the knees and sink your sits bones toward your heels, lifting the chest. Sitting a little bit more deeply, hands to heart center. So instead of leaning forward, we're lifting the chest, lengthening through the low back. So Karen, lift up a little bit, lift the chest. You're gonna sit on me.
Oh, where are you?
There.
Oh, there.
Now.
Oh, can you stay there?
So work a little bit here. And now everybody stand up straight. There we go. So that's the feeling. You want to, instead of leaning forward, you're here. Yes, yes. Feel the difference? Nope. Don't lift it. There. Okay. Let it down to the low back. Lengthening down to the low back is that tucking of the tailbone. Good job. Thank you, Nancy. You're welcome. Tadasana, mountain pose. Take a reset breath. Breathe in. Find that alignment. Weight is in the heels. Sternum lifting. Opening across the chest. Inhale, float the arms overhead. Exhale, dive forward to Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, and step all the way back. So you're finding plank pose. Strong. Heels are lifted. We're on the balls of our feet. We're not rounding the spine. Jackie, drop your hips a little. Don't collapse in the chest. Beautiful, everyone. Karen, drop your hips. Belly in. Hold the belly. Try not to collapse, but hollow out. Yeah, but then the lower lip, yes. Feel the difference? And then we're gonna either drop our knees, or if you want to lower all the way to belly by bending the elbows, lowering the whole body at once. Take your hands, stack them in front of you so you can rest your forehead on the backs of the hands. And take a couple of breaths here before we move into our back bend today, which is in Sanskrit called Shalabhasana. Translates to locust pose. So locust pose is a mild back bend. Tops of the feet are on the mat, and separate your legs. Bring them close together to start. So bring the legs together and the tops of the feet on the mat. And just notice for a moment the sensations in your low back. If by bringing the legs together, you felt an instant tension form in the low back, separate the legs until you no longer feel that tension. Take your legs apart to a comfortable place for your low back. Everybody's sits bones are at a different width. So you have to find that spot for you where you're not going to feel any tension in the low back. And now take the arms, sweep them alongside your body with the palms facing up. Forehead on the mat. So we're going to do it in 3 parts. We're going to lift the legs first, and then we're going to lift the upper body, and then we're going to put it all together. So keep the upper body and the forehead glued to the mat. And I want you to tilt your pubic bone toward the mat.
lengthening through the low back. And now using your back muscles, start to float the legs, only the legs, off the mat. You want to try and see if you can get the knees off the mat and maybe even part of the thigh, but don't lift the upper body. Keep the upper body down and just float the legs off and try and lengthen through your toes. Feel a lengthening. If you feel any clenching in the low back, turn that pubic bone toward the mat more. And then exhale, lowering the legs down. Turn one cheek to the mat for a full breath in and out. And then bring the forehead back. Now keep the legs on the mat and keep them that comfortable distance. Turn your pubic bone to the mat, lengthening the low back. And now reach through the fingertips to lengthen the shoulders away from the ears, and start by lifting the arms up. And now add the upper body, keeping the hips and pelvis glued to the mat. And just feel with each inhale, see if you can lift another rib cage off of the mat. So really engage in the muscles in your back to help lift the upper body. Keep your gaze looking down. And exhale, lower down and turn the opposite cheek to the mat for your rest breath. So just think for a moment now to put this all together. We need our hips, our hip points, and our pelvis to stay in neutral. We don't want any turning side to side. We want that area to stay neutral, and we want to engage the back muscles. So on your next inhale, we're going to start to lift the legs up. Then lift the arms, upper body, keeping the pubic bone turned toward the mat. Reach through the toes, reach out through the crown of your head. See if you can lift the thighs a little bit more off the mat. See if you can lift one more rib cage off the mat. Breathe, not holding our breath. One more breath in. One more breath out. One more. You could do it. Lift a little higher. And exhale, lower down. Stack the hands again. Make a pillow for your forehead. And then widen the legs a little bit. Bend the knees so the feet are facing the ceiling. And windshield wiper the legs over to the right. Take them through center, over to the left. Inhale through center, exhale, dropping them to one side. And then the other. Just releasing that low back, and then lower the legs. Prop yourself up on one arm so you can roll yourself over. Right where you are. So if your head's facing the mirror, that's fine. Rolling onto our back and then countering that back bend with a spinal twist. So bring your feet to the mat. Knees are facing the ceiling. And then I want you to roll to the right side, onto the right side of your body, and bring your right arm out like we did earlier. So it's reaching out to the TV wall. Come all the way to the right side of your body, and then stack your thighs and knees and lift them up toward your navel a little bit so that you're making a 90-degree angle. And notice if your top knee is not in line with the bottom knee, and adjust. Bring those in alignment. And then reach with your right fingers, reach and wrap your fingers around the top knee. There you go. And now take your left hand behind your head. So the elbow is pointing up to the ceiling. And I want you to hold on, right hand holds the top knee and start pulling it towards you a little bit so you feel that engagement and keeping those legs together. And then slowly start to drop that left elbow down toward the mat. So what you don't want is to lose the stacking of the knees. So if dropping all the way down makes your knees come apart or not even, then lift up a little bit. So your left hip, your twist is coming from the navel up. So keep those knees stacked. So when your knees come off of each other, that means that you're then engaging, you're twisting from the hip and the lumbar spine. And you want to twist from the navel up. Another breath in. One more breath in. And then bring that left hand back to bring you onto your right side of the body again. And now roll like a log onto your back. So everything all at once, knees and back. And readjust to neutral. And then with the feet on the mat, now roll like a log to your left side. So you don't want to adjust too much. You should just be able to roll to your left side. And then stack your knees. So the knees are in line with each other. So that your right hip now is facing up to the ceiling. And then you're going to grab your knee with your left hand, your left fingertips, and take your right hand behind the head, elbow facing up to the sky, and then begin to twist open. But if you feel that top knee shifting, bring it back, hold it in place. So that right hip stays, and you're just twisting the upper thoracic spine. You might not go all the way down to the mat, and that's okay. You're just getting into that upper thoracic spine area. Your hands should be supporting your head so that there's activity going on as you drop that elbow toward the floor, cradling the head. One more breath in and out. And then bring that elbow back around so you're on the left side of your body, and then roll like a log to your back. Hug the knees into your chest. Rock from side to side. And then we come into Shavasana like we began our practice today. Extend one leg out and then the other. You can stay right where you are. You don't have to spin around. Push through the heels to lengthen the legs out of your hip sockets. Lift your chest, glide the shoulder blades under, and then flip your palms up. If you need to lengthen through the low back to help the whole back settle, go ahead and do that. Take that adjustment. Take a deep breath in. Exhale fully out. Allow each cell at a time to release into the support beneath you. Bringing awareness here as you do a body scan, noticing any parts of the body that aren't quite settling. See if you can use your breath to allow those areas of the body to let go of the hold, the gripping. Bring awareness to sensations. Bring your awareness to listen inside. May you be happy and at ease. May you be safe and well. May you feel loving and loved. You, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection by God. The way to increase our love and compassion for ourselves and for others is by this time of self-care, to nurture, to turn our nervous system off, moving it to a calmer space. Start to deepen your inhales and exhales and wiggle fingers, wiggle toes, circle wrists and ankles. Inhale the arms overhead, taking a long awakening stretch, and then hug the knees into your chest, rolling to your right side like a log. Stay on your right side for a couple breaths to avoid any lightheadedness when you come up to a seat. And then without tweaking or torquing your spine, rock the chest toward the earth and then press up to make your way up to a seat. Coming to crossing the legs. Keeping the eyes closed or at a soft gaze, bring your hands together in front of your heart and a soft bow of the head towards your heart. Thank yourself. Removing any negative self-talk of thinking how I should have done this pose better, or I wanted to look like this, or I'm not flexible enough. And just thank yourself for being here. I thank you for being here, incorporating yoga, opening your world to these teachings and this practice. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Namaste. You're welcome. Back tomorrow with intermediate yoga at 9:30 and yoga and meditation on Wednesday at 1:30. Thank you all so much. I know, it's so busy right now. So busy. I taught a yoga crossovers workshop on Saturday yesterday. Yeah. How do you feel?
Good.
Good.
Like some of the like planks and other moves, I was gonna say, is it okay that I'm shaking?
Absolutely.
Well, I couldn't stop
It's actually releasing energy, and that's good.
it. That might be a stupid question.
Nothing's a stupid.
Do you have to repeat the same moves every week or is every week different? Or-
I change it up. I do. There's always going to be a downward dog. There's probably always going to be a plank, but I tend to change the sequence.
I noticed there were a lot of animals.
A lot of what?
Animals.
Animals, yeah.
Cats and dogs.
Yeah, there's every pose, most every pose in yoga connects. Oh, that's mine. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So shoot right through. Or just a towel. Thanks, Nancy. You're welcome. Good to see you. It all dates back to thousands of years. These teachings came to us from what's called the Yoga Sutras, and there's a lot of myths, and there's a lot of animals and references to nature, and also Hindu deities, and yeah, and that's for me. When I knew that I was hooked, I kept asking questions about the ancient teachings.
One of the back stretchers I'm starting to do because I go to a chiropractor once a week. Actually, it's a chiropractor. She calls it the mad cat. It's very similar to what
Yes, and level. And then I noticed when you came up, Lou, a much better way. So when we come up from our side is to rock forward and come up this way versus because you roll onto your back and then, so if you get up this way, then you're,
habits.
oh yeah. It's all good, but it takes a while. I mean, I've been practicing for over 20 years. And that's why it's called a practice, because it can be with you life. And I swear by as far as a lifeline to aging and keeping my body without, to avoid any AIDS. Wake up in the morning. Hello. Thank you. Uh-huh.
Because I read a lot of.
Uh-huh.